17. Very next play from the 30-yard line. Justin Herbert is going to take the snap, look left, throw one deep down the left sideline for Joshua Palmer. Looks like it'll be intercepted, tipped up into the air, and right into the lap of Joshua Palmer, who secures it for the go-ahead touchdown. Are you kidding me? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Bobby Valentine Sports Show. This is going to be a recap of Week 3 of the NFL season. Week 3 has already come and gone, and we're going to get into the action that we saw this week. We saw some history has been made this week. Some not so great things were happening this week. We're going to talk about it all, from the good to the bad, and we'll get into it right now with the good. Historic performance from the Dolphins in Miami on Sunday. Fourth team in NFL history to score 70 or more points. They beat the Denver Broncos by a score of 70-20, a 50-point win. Raheem Mostert had 4 total touchdowns on the day. Rookie Devon Achane had 4 total touchdowns on the day. His first 4 career touchdowns. And Tyreek Hill had a touchdown as well. Robbie Chosen Anderson had a touchdown as well. 10 touchdowns on the day by the Miami Dolphins. Unbelievable. Tied for the second most points ever in a regular season game. Most since 1951. 726 total yards. Second most in a single game in NFL history. They're the first team in NFL history to score 70 points and gain 700 yards in one game. They're the first team in NFL history with 5 passing touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns in the same game. So, I mean, it was just a complete balanced attack. They were absolutely slashing this Denver Broncos defense in every way imaginable. Running the ball, passing the ball, screens. Tua was throwing no-look shovel passes multiple times. It was unreal. It was one of the most insane performances I've ever seen from an offense. Probably the most insane performance I've ever seen from an offense in my entire life, given it hasn't happened since 1951. They became the second team in NFL history to have 300 passing yards and 300 rushing yards in a game. So, like I said, insanely balanced. 300 yards in the air and on the ground. That's unheard of. 10 touchdowns, tied for the second most in a game in NFL history, including the playoffs. Devon Achane, Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, those 3 guys combined for 9 touchdowns on the day. I mean, Mostert and Achane just by themselves had 8. Tyreek had 1, so they throw him in there. And so the most points ever scored in a single game. We have to talk about this now because there's only been 4 teams in the history of the NFL to score 70 points or more in a game. The most points ever was done by the 1940 Bears when they scored 73 points in a game. 1940 Bears, that's almost 100 years ago. You got to think about that. That's like 80 years ago. The 1966 Redskins scored 72. And Sunday, the Dolphins scored 70. And the 1950 Baltimore Colts scored 70. So, I mean, this hasn't happened since 1966, right around the time that the AFL and NFL merged. Like, unprecedented offensive explosion down in Miami for those Dolphins against a sad, sorry Denver Broncos team right now. And it really is tough to watch. But, oh my goodness, what an unbelievable way to start the day. That was a 1 o'clock game. So every single time, I sat there watching Red Zone, and I was like, wait, the Dolphins scored again? Wait a minute, the Dolphins have the ball back again? Wait, Russ threw another pick? They fumbled again? It was ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. And the Dolphins, it doesn't look like anybody can stop the Miami Dolphins right now. That offense looks absolutely potent, ridiculously potent. We'll see if anyone can stop them, but it does not look like anyone's going to slow them down anytime soon. If they can run the ball like the way they ran the ball Sunday, they are a force to be reckoned with because we know that Tyreek can do what Tyreek does. Tua's having an insane year. If he can stay healthy, we know what Tua Tagovailoa can do. So we'll see. Moving on to throughout the weekly recap, the play of the day. And I'm not sure if you guys saw this. This came in the Jacksonville-Houston game, which was a pretty interesting and a shocker of a game itself if you missed it. The Jacksonville Jaguars losing at home by 20 points to the Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud picking up his first career win in the NFL. But that's not what we're here to talk about right now. The play of the day came after a Jacksonville Jaguar field goal, the ensuing kickoff. Get that going. So, going to kick it off here. And they're doing a little bit of like a high, short kick, trying to make them field it. And one of the up men picks up, drops the ball, kicks it a little bit, picks it up, makes a couple guys miss. And what Is that a fullback running down the right sideline, making moves, outrunning the whole team? Oh, surely this guy's going to get him. Hurdles him with the half hurdle and takes it all the way in for a touchdown. An 85-yard kick return touchdown by Andrew Beck, the Texans' fullback. Obviously, he was not supposed to catch the ball. That was not supposed to happen. But are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Let's take another look at this thing. The ball isn't going to hit like the 10-yard line, but he backs up. It kind of almost hits him in the face. He kicks it, picks it up. 3 Jaguars fly by him. He cuts to the right, stiff arms a man down to the ground. He's off to the races. He's going to outrun the kicker. He can get by the kicker. But this guy is in pursuit, and he dives for his legs, and it's like a stiff arm hurdle at the same time. Look at this. Look at this. Are you kidding me? That's a fullback taking a kick to the house. No wonder that way won that game. That put the Texans up 24-10. They ended up winning that game 37-17. Unreal play there, and honestly, an unreal game between those two teams, because who expected Houston to go into Jacksonville and win by that score? So, what an unbelievable play there. Play of the day, for sure. But, speaking of unbelievable things, we're going to move into our game of the week. And, Buck, I was there with you, bro. I was with you. You're a Vikings fan. I'm a Raiders fan. I don't like the Chargers. You play in the Chargers. I was with you. But Chargers-Vikings yesterday, or no, on Sunday, excuse me. Chargers-Vikings on Sunday was unbelievable game. Very, very back and forth game. Wild ending. We're going to pick it up here. First possession of the game for Minnesota on a 3rd and 8. Kirk Cousins is going to drop back. He's going to find TJ Hockenson over the middle, but he's going to get the ball ripped out, and that will be the 7th lost fumble of the season for the Minnesota Vikings. They had 6 in their first 2 games, and another one here to start the game. So more of the same for this Minnesota Vikings offense, and they're going to need to turn around quick. But they're known for being a part of shootout games, and this one would qualify for that. So the Chargers get the ball back. They drive down, get inside the 5-yard line, and Justin Herbert's going to fake a handoff, throw one sidearm out to the right side to Donald Parham. He's going to run in for the first score of the game. That will make it 7-0 Chargers. Nice little sidearm toss there from Justin Herbert. Then we'll move ahead here. There are a few empty possessions from both teams. The Vikings are able to move the ball inside the goal, inside the red zone, to the 5-yard line. Kirk Cousins is going to drop, look left, and find his tight end, Josh Oliver. That is going to barely get in, cross the plane for a touchdown to tie the game up at 7-7. So already both these offenses passing touchdown in the first half. 7-7 ball game. So ensuing Chargers possession. Herbert is going to find Joshua Palmer for a slant over the middle of the field for a little bit of a 5-yard gain. But it seems like the ball popped out there. Vikings are saying it came out. Vikings are convinced that they got it. Big scrum for the ball. No one can really tell. Vikings are sure that they have it. And they do. Referee signals. They come out with the ball. Forced fumble by the Vikings. Joshua Palmer coughs it up. First turnover of the year by the Chargers. So Vikings back in business with the ball back. 1st and goal from the 3-yard line. Kirk's going to hand it off to Alexander Madison, who is bottled up in the backfield, and the ball is stripped free, recovered by the Chargers. But there was an early whistle, and they say that Alexander Madison was down. His forward momentum was stopped. Play was over. Whistle was blown. Ruled down. No fumble. 2nd down for the Vikings. So break for the Vikings there. Tough call. Looked to me that ball got out before his forward momentum stopped and the play was over. But referees blew the whistle. Nothing they can do about it then. Vikings keep the ball. But they have to settle for 3 as the Chargers defense holds, and they take the lead 10-7. So moving on now to the next Chargers possession. The next Chargers possession, it will be 4th down and goal here. They move all the way in to the 1-yard line. 4th and goal for the Chargers. Justin Herbert's going to take the snap, fake the handoff, and he's going to throw an absolute laser beam to Donald Parham, who's standing at least like not even 5 yards away from him. Looked like he threw that ball 78 miles an hour with a football from 17 feet away. I don't know how he made that catch. Donald Parham's second receiving touchdown catch of the game. That will put the Chargers up 14-10. So we're going to jump ahead now. Later in the game. Excuse me, trying to find the right play here. All right, 2nd and 4 for the Chargers here on their own 25-yard line. Herbert drops back. He's looking left, gets pulled. He's rolling left, finds Keenan Allen, who's wide open over the left side of the field. And Keenan Allen had himself an amazing game. Finishes the game with 18 catches for over 200 yards. And the very next play, as we talk about, Keenan Allen has this unbelievable day. That's a backwards pass to him. He's throwing down the field to Mike Williams. That's going to be an easy 49-yard touchdown. So Keenan Allen finishes the day with 18 catches and over 200 yards receiving. But on that play, he catches the screen pass from Justin Herbert and throws a 49-yard touchdown to his other counterpart receiver, Mike Williams. Huge play for the Chargers. That's going to put them up 21-10. Big play. So ensuing Vikings possession, they're driving down. They get to a 4th down and 6 on the opposing 36-yard line. Kirk's going to drop back. He's going to look over the middle of the field and find KJ Osborne at the 20-yard line, who runs down the sideline and dives for the end zone for a touchdown. On 4th and 6, a 35-yard touchdown from Kirk Cousins to KJ Osborne to bring life back to the Minnesota Vikings. Big play right there. If they don't convert that 4th down, the game might be over, but they got a huge touchdown, 21-17. This game is very much back on. On the next defensive possession for the Vikings, Danielle Hunter came up with a big strip sack on 3rd down to get the ball back for the Vikings. And on 2nd and 15, from their own 47-yard line, Kirk is going to drop back, look left, look back right, across the middle, finds Jefferson, who outruns everybody and takes it for a 52-yard touchdown to put the Minnesota Vikings on top 24-21. So big swing there, 21-10 after that double pass from Keenan Allen to Mike Williams, and then that big TD on the 4th and 6 by KJ Osborne. Big stand by the Vikings defense to get the ball back, and then Justin Jefferson has that big-time 50-yard touchdown to put the Vikings on top 24-21. Next possession for the Chargers. At midfield, the Chargers have a 3rd and 17. Herbert is getting forced out of the pocket to his left, throws off his back foot back over to the middle of the field, who finds a wide open Keenan Allen for the 1st down. How can Keenan Allen be so wide open there? I almost said Keenan open because that's what he was in this game. Just Keenan open on every single play. Ridiculous. 18 for 215. Finds him on the biggest play of the game to keep the drive alive on 3rd and 17. Very next play from the 30-yard line. Justin Herbert is going to take the snap, look left, throw one deep down the left sideline for Joshua Palmer. Looks like it'll be intercepted, tipped up into the air and right into the lap of Joshua Palmer, who secures it for the go-ahead touchdown. Are you kidding me? Should have been intercepted. Tipped right up into the air. Joshua Palmer makes the catch, crosses the goal line. 28-24, Chargers go on top. What just happened in the last 5 minutes of this game? Like, what just happened? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. Next Vikings possession. Get the ball all the way down inside the 5. They try to run the ball in with Alexander Mattison 3 times in a row and are stuffed. 4th and goal, or 2 times in a row and are stuffed. 3rd and goal, Kirk rolls right, and he's forced to throw the ball out of the back of the end zone. So the next play, this is and not the game here, but huge play, 4th and goal, down by 4, just under 3 minutes left for the Vikings. Kirk Cousins gets the snap, looks left, throws left, but that's broken up. Flag is down, but that's for an illegal shift on Justin Jefferson. That's declined. Turnover on downs. Chargers get the ball on their own 2-yard line. Just under 3 minutes left with a 4-point lead. We'll jump ahead here to the 3rd down on this possession. As they throw up the graphic that Keenan Allen in this game became just the 2nd player in NFL history to have 10 or more catches, 100 or more receiving yards, and 40 or more passing yards in the same game. So he had 10 or more catches, 100 more receiving yards, and 40 or more passing yards. And he threw a touchdown, and he had 200 yards receiving, and he had 18 catches. What a ridiculous day from Keenan Allen. So, Chargers have a big third down, 3rd and 11, trying to put the game away from their own 14-yard line. Herbert, quick throw to Allen. He's just short of the first down, about 9.5 yards picked up there. So, big 4th down call here. What are we going to do? We got to punt the ball away to keep them out. But Brandon Staley elects to keep the offense on the field, go for this 4th down, and end the game right here. So the 4th down call, ballsy move from Brandon Staley, hand off to the fullback, and it's absolutely stuffed immediately. Nowhere to go, stuffed by 4 or 5 Minnesota Vikings, clogging up that middle, and another turnover on downs. Unbelievable. That call might blow up right in Brandon Staley's face. Unbelievable. Could have punted it away and pinned the Vikings down, made them go the whole length of the field. Now they get the ball on the Charger 14-yard line, going in just on the other side of the 2-minute warning, 1:50 left. Unbelievable turn of events there as the Vikings turn it over on the goal line, and then the Chargers gave it right back about a couple minutes later. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. So after a holding penalty that set up the Vikings, they move the ball down to the 15-yard line of the Chargers. 15 of the Chargers. 4th down and 5, 42 seconds left, game on the line. This is the game right here. Vikings need a 1st down. Kirk takes the snap, finds TJ Hawkinson over the middle. 1st down Vikings. 35 seconds left on the clock. Keep in mind what I just said. 35 seconds left on the clock. Mass confusion follows. They can't get the play out. They have no idea what they're doing. I thought that they were going to spike the ball here, but you can see mass chaos. Nothing. There's 11 seconds left by the time they snap the ball. Kirk throws right, tipped up 3 separate times, and intercepted by Kenneth Walker at the goal line, and that's going to do it. So what a roller coaster of emotions in the last 5 minutes of that ball game. That bunch of shifts with that. Ever since that Keenan Allen touchdown pass, this game went off the rails. They scored that. The Vikings came right back down and scored on a 4th down. Then they made a stop. Justin Jefferson scored a long touchdown to put them up. They came right back down. Vikings should have had a pick, but it ended up being a touchdown for the Chargers. Ridiculous. And then just two turnovers down at the goal line. The Vikings turn it over at the goal line. The Chargers turn it right back to them. And then, ending was just ridiculous. And can we talk about that game management? I said it before. 4th down and 5 for TJ Hawkinson. He got that 1st down with 35 seconds left on the clock. There was 35 seconds left still. So they had time to get something happening. They had time to get a play call, maybe spike the ball, get 2 plays off, 3 plays off. Who knows? They end up snapping the ball 1st and goal the next play with only 11 seconds left on the clock. Kirk forces one to TJ Hawkinson to a tight window. He tips it up. The corner tips it up, and it lands right into the arms of Kenneth Walker. Tough way to lose for the Vikings. Tough way to fall to 0-3 as the Los Angeles Chargers really, and Brandon Staley, really gift-wrapped that win for the Minnesota Vikings. They were trying to give them that win. But the NFL is the NFL, but that was crazy. So the two games we've talked about from this Sunday have been pretty unreal. That 70-20 blowout from the Miami Dolphins, and pretty nail-biting game, finishing 28-24 in favor of the Los Angeles Chargers over the Minnesota Vikings. So that'll wrap up the game of the week, and now we'll go into the NFL standings. And so the AFC East, we talked about them already. The Miami Dolphins, they are 3-0. They look unreal. This offense looks like they cannot be beaten. They just beat the Broncos 70-20. And I told you all these ridiculous stats. 4th team in NFL history to score 70-plus points in a game. Tied for the 2nd most points in a regular season game in NFL history. Most since 1951. 726 yards is the 2nd most in a game in NFL history. They became the 1st team in NFL history to score 70 points and gain 700 yards in the same game. And the 1st team to have 5 passing touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns in the same game. And the 2nd team to have both 300 yards on the ground and in the air in the same game. Ridiculous. Ridiculous stats right there for the Miami Dolphins. Coming in second there so far, the Buffalo Bills, who absolutely killed the Washington Commanders on Sunday. This defense looked very, very good. Sam Howell looked like he had nothing to do with the ball. Last week against Denver, Sam Howell led a great comeback, and he looked good in that second half. This week against Buffalo, very different story. Defense of Buffalo was very, very, very good. They picked him off, I think, 2 times. One of them was a touchdown. And it looks like the Raiders game kickstarted their season because Josh Allen, he looked struggling for 1 week, and he faced our defense, and that's all you need, as we'll get into that later on. The New England Patriots, they beat the Jets. They beat the Jets for the 15th consecutive time. The Patriots beat the New York Jets for the 15th consecutive time. That's insane. The defense looks really good, and the Patriots' defense is always good. That's what I always say. Like, Bill Belichick is not going to have a bad defense. It's just not going to happen. I don't know about the offense. I don't know how much I believe in Mac Jones or how much they're going to get, like, as a playoff team potentially, but this defense is always very consistent. The New York Jets just lost to the Patriots, like I said. It was the 15th consecutive time that the New York Jets lost to the New England Patriots. 15 games in a row. Talk about owning somebody. 15 years. 15 games in a row. Think about it. How many years is that? 2 games a year times 50. Ridiculous. Go over to the NFC East. Philadelphia Eagles, who are playing Monday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll see how they do tonight. Jalen Hurts looking for a little bit of a... they still played well on the ground, but maybe they're looking for a little bit of more of a well-balanced offensive attack this week. And the Dallas Cowboys. Whoa, what just happened to the Dallas Cowboys? They just lost a shocker at Arizona, and they couldn't... It never looked like they were going to come back and win this game. Like, they went down, right? They went down early. The defense was like, what's going on? I thought this was the best defense of all time. Didn't show it early. Then went down, I think, 10-0. I think the Cardinals went for 2 for some reason, so it was 9-0 because I didn't get it. So they were down 2 scores. And then the offense looked absolutely slow and almost like timid. It's like they don't trust Dak Prescott to do anything, really. They've really been like slowly moving the ball the whole game. And when they went down, it's not like they didn't have any sense of urgency. It's like, hey guys, we're losing to the Cardinals here. We got to get going. Like, let's got to go. But it never really happened. And the defense, like I said, was not the force that it was in the first 2 weeks. Maybe it was just playing against the 2 New York teams, but interesting that the Arizona Cardinals take down the Dallas Cowboys. Wild. Arguably the best team in the NFL. The worst team in the NFL beats the best team in the NFL. Crazy. The Washington Commanders, we just talked about that a little bit. They got blown out by Buffalo. Very bad showing after starting the season 2-0. And Sam Howell, I told you, he looked good last week against Denver in that comeback. But he made some poor decisions and some bad throws in this game. So we'll see. I mean, the Buffalo Bills defense is very good. Let's see how he does next week. Not sure who their matchup is, but not a great showing from him. And speaking of the New York teams, the Giants, they lost to San Francisco Thursday night. Not a great game for them, but they've had a tough draw to start the season, a bunch of tough games. Through their first 3 games, they have a negative 55-point differential. And that's the 4th worst through 3 games in New York Giant franchise history. So not the type of numbers you want to be replicating. The AFC North, we'll talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They just beat my Las Vegas Raiders. Sorry, I can't say Oakland anymore because it is very clearly not the Oakland Raiders anymore. We play in Las Vegas, and everybody knows it because 75% of those fans in Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas had terrible towels and were Steelers fans. It was disgusting to see as a Raiders fan, and I hope Mark Davis enjoys it because that's what you get now. Bum. But they beat the Raiders on Sunday Night Football in Vegas. TJ Watt is unbelievable. He's probably going to win the Defensive Player of the Year. And somehow before this game, obviously small sample size, only 2 games, the Raiders' offensive line was the only offensive line in the NFL that hadn't given up a sack yet. Obviously that was going to change running against TJ Watt, but he had 2, I believe. He's just so good. He gets off the ball faster than anyone I've ever seen. And yeah, he's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year. But, I mean, the Steelers had a bad week 1 against San Francisco, bad matchup, But they just won 2 games in a row, and now they're sitting on top of the AFC North because they have a divisional win. The Baltimore Ravens, they just lost to the Indianapolis Colts in overtime, which was such a weird game. Sloppy weather game, and it was sloppy play. Lamar ran for 2 touchdowns, but they couldn't really get that much going on offense. And Gardner Minshew, the man, was able to lead one comeback to get a field goal at the end of regulation to tie it up, and then one in overtime to win the game. So Gardner Minshew taking down Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. The Cleveland Browns, they just beat Tennessee. The defense looks really, really good. This Cleveland Browns defense looks amazing, especially the D-line. Myles Garrett is a freak of nature. He's toying with people. He's just walking around and then attacking. It's insane. And it was the best game that Deshaun Watson has played as a Cleveland Brown. Besides that one play where he just threw the ball backwards while he was getting sacked, just straight up threw it backwards for a fumble. Don't know what happened there, but he played a pretty good day. Played a pretty good game. Him and Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper should have had 2 touchdowns. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he was ruled out of bounds on a long touchdown, but he was clearly in bounds and got taken off the board. The Cincinnati Bengals, who are still 0-2 as of this current second, play on Monday Night Football versus the Los Angeles Rams. Check back after that one. The NFC North, the Green Bay Packers. Comeback win against the New Orleans Saints on Sunday. They're down 17-0 in the fourth quarter. Scored 18 to win the game 18-7. And so they kicked a field goal. It was 17-3. And then they scored a touchdown, and they went for 2 to make it 17-11. And I was like, what is going on? But I guess they wanted that 1-point win, and it worked out for them. So it was only the second fourth quarter comeback of 17 points in Packers franchise history. And that's a pretty storied franchise history. Pretty impressive. Jordan Love, is he the truth? That's pretty impressive. He just did something in, his 5th start? I think he started a couple games before this year, if I'm not mistaken. But he did something that Brett Favre never did in his entire career already, which is a 17-point comeback in the fourth quarter. Pretty impressive stuff from Jordan Love. The Detroit Lions, they beat Atlanta pretty handedly. Defense looked good, but that offense for Atlanta is very, very one-dimensional. So if you can stop that running game, you're going to have some success. They played solid, though, everywhere, the Lions did, and it was a pretty easy win. Sam Laporta had a nice long touchdown. Jared Goff just takes care of the ball, and they do what they have to do to win games, which is why I feel like a lot of people are high on them. They're not the flashy team that's going to do all these crazy things and score 40 points all the time, but they're going to do what it takes to win games, and that's what I like about the Lions team. The Minnesota Vikings, just talked about them. They lost an extremely tough game to the Chargers, and they had so many opportunities to win that game. They really should have won that game. Brandon Staley was trying to let them win that game, and they didn't. They didn't make it plays. They didn't make the plays when it really mattered the most, and it looked like a Raiders-Chargers game, honestly, that we blew. Like I said, the Chargers gave them this game, and they didn't take it, which was tough. Oh, the Bears, oh my gosh, they got blown out by Kansas City in Kansas City. They look horrendous, and something's going to have to happen. And this was an extremely unprecedented week for the Chicago Bears franchise as a whole. The defensive coordinator, I believe his name Alan Williams, stepped down during the middle of the week, and then the reports came out that his house was getting raided by the FBI, and Hallis Hall at the facility was getting raided by the FBI. Who knows what's going on over there? Apparently some of those rumors are false. I don't know all the details anymore, but all the turmoil, all the weirdness going on during the week, and then to get absolutely blown out is never fun. Move on to the AFC South, and leading the AFC South after 3 weeks of the NFL season is the Indianapolis Colts. After beating the Baltimore Ravens in overtime, Gardner Minshew was able to lead the team in 2 drives to set up field goals in the end of regulation and in overtime. And speaking of field goals, Matt Gay went 5 for 5 on field goals Sunday for the Indianapolis Colts. It included the 53-yard game winner in OT. And 4 of his 5 field goals came from 50 or more yards. That's the most in a single game in NFL history. So, unbelievable day for Matt Gay, doing everything you could possibly do for this team. He basically won this game with his foot. Gardner Minshew made some plays enough for Matt Gay to win this game with his foot, basically. So, unbelievable stuff. 4 of his 5 kicks of 50-plus yards, most ever in a game in NFL history. Next team, the Houston Texans. What's going on here? They just beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville for C.J. Stroud's first career win. So, mentioned that earlier. C.J. Stroud has looked pretty good. He had a 300 passing yard day yesterday or last week. Had a win against Jacksonville on the road, but that was pretty impressive. And I think Jacksonville was going to win this division pretty handily. I didn't think this division was very good, but they're sitting at third right now, and they just lost that game at home, and I don't even really know what happened there. Like, the defense just gave it, like, defense, what is going on? They got too many weapons on offense, and Trevor Lawrence is too good for this team to lose to Houston. To round out the AFC South for now, the Tennessee Titans, they lost to Cleveland, and they looked really bad on offense. Derrick Henry could not do anything. That D-line for Tennessee, or that D-line for Cleveland absolutely gobbled them up, had nowhere to go, and that passing attack, as you know, is not as great as it could be when they don't have their running game going. Then we're moving over to the NFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are leading that division as of right now, and they're playing against the Eagles Monday night. We will check back after that. The Atlanta Falcons lost to Detroit. This was not a great game. The offense is going to have to figure it out because, like I said, they're extremely one-dimensional, and I don't know how they're going to have to get it going. They can't just run the ball and expect to, I don't know. The New Orleans Saints, they lost that game to the Green Bay Packers I was talking about in that comeback. Jordan Love came back from a 17-0 deficit in the fourth quarter. So they did that against the New Orleans Saints, obviously. Saints had a 17-point lead. Their quarterback and former Oakland Raider quarterback, Derek Carr, gets hurt and comes out of the game. I am not sure what his injury is still. Looked like a shoulder or upper body, something on the right side of his body injury. He was unable to return to the game. He came out. Offense kind of stalled. Jameis Winston wasn't really able to do too much. 18 consecutive unanswered points for Green Bay to get the win. And that's a tough way to lose your first game of the year. And they got to hope that Derek Carr is not hurt too badly so he's able to come back soon because that offense didn't do anything after he left the game. The Carolina Panthers, they just lost to Seattle, but they hung around for most of the game. And if you weren't aware, Bryce Young had an ankle injury that prevented him from playing on Sunday. So Andy Dalton was the quarterback of Carolina, and he did pretty well. They were able to hang around, but they lost. Seattle was able to win the game by 10, but they were in this game for the entire time. So the Panthers might be better than we think. I think they're going to be. AFC West, order is restored here. The Kansas City Chiefs killed the Chicago Bears, and they took place at the top of the AFC West. And if you didn't see it, which is impossible because I've seen it 400 million times, Taylor Swift was there in Travis Kelce's suite. So, yeah, I guess they're dating now. Cool. See her a million thousand times everywhere. The Raiders lost on Sunday Night Football to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The defense looked terrible like it always does. And, I'm going to explain to you something about the Raiders. I've been watching the Raiders for a long time. And the Raiders games are almost the same every time I watch them. They're really, really identical. A lot of them are very, very similar. We come out of the gate. We play, let's say we get the ball first. Actually, no, let's not, because we didn't get the ball first. Let's say we kick off. We have our first series of the year on defense, of the game on defense. It always goes solid. We usually get a stop. Get the ball back. The first drive of the game, definitely been scripted all week. They've been practicing all week. They know what's going to happen. Bam, 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 boom, boom, boom. Look great. Touchdown Raiders. We are awesome. Oh, we're great. Firing on all cylinders. We look like a great team. After that, something it's like a deflated balloon. Just for about 45 minutes until like the middle of the third, start of the fourth quarter, where they start to slowly creep back into a game to give themselves a chance to maybe come back in a miraculous way, but only in a miraculous way. That is Raiders football. That's how it happens. The defense is terrible, except for Max Crosby. He's the only good player on the defense at all. How about this? We scored that touchdown, right? Exactly what I just said happened last night. Defense started playing good, 3-and-out, we got the ball. We scored a touchdown on a fourth and inches touchdown Devontae. What happens right after that? Kenny Pickett throws a bomb touchdown immediately. And then what happens right after that? Should have been pick 6 by Marcus Peters. Like, that just doesn't happen. That's stuff that we don't do. And I don't know if I believe in Josh McDaniels. I'm not. Honestly, I don't know what that call is at the end of the game. We're going in, just above 2 minutes to go. Just outside the what? I think we're at the 10-yard line, 4th and 4, down by 8. Go for it. You really trust our defense? Do you think our defense is going to get a stop on 3 plays to get the ball back? No chance, man. Go for it. You already went for 2 last time to make it an 8-point game. What are you doing this time? Not going for 2. I don't understand. Like all the metrics say, it's so much harder for you to kick that field goal, kick off, and then get 3 stops very fast, get the ball back with 1:45 left, and then bam, 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 bam. That is hard. How about you just go for it, right? And God forbid you don't go get it. They have the ball starting at their own 10. Make a stop right there on the defense. So I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense to me. And Jimmy G already has 6 picks in 3 games this year. Last year in 10 starts, he had 4. 6 and 3 this year. Great. Mr. Jimmy G, the winner, right? No. Los Angeles Chargers, they just had a crazy win against the Vikings. Wild back and forth game. Game-winning touchdown came off of what should have been a pick, like we saw before, but it bounced off the cornerback's hands into Joshua Palmer's hands for a touchdown. Brandon Staley goes for it on 4th and 1 from inside his own 25. Does not get it. Gets bailed out by his defense, though, because they get a pick at the goal line because of a miscommunication between the head coach and Kirk Cousins, unable to get the play. Keenan Allen became the second player in NFL history with 10-plus catches, 100-plus receiving yards, and 40-plus passing yards in a game. That he joined Jerry Rice, who also did that in 1995. And Keenan Allen finished the day with 18 catches for 215 yards and 49-yard passing touchdown. What a day for Keenan Allen. Unbelievable. We'll talk about the Denver Broncos very briefly. Just got absolutely blown out in Miami by the Dolphins, 70-20. Unbelievable. One of the worst losses in NFL history. And Sean Payton and the team was not happy afterwards. Saw their speeches and all that. Not very good. Post-game pressers. Not very fun to watch. To wrap it up, we got the NFC West. The San Francisco 49ers beat up on the New York Giants on Thursday Night Football. Christian McCaffrey tied Jerry Rice and Dwight Clark for the most consecutive games to start a season with 100 scrimmage yards and a touchdown in 49ers history with 3. So 3 games in a row with 100 or more scrimmage yards and a touchdown to start a season ties Jerry Rice and Dwight Clark for the most in franchise history. He's going to try to break it next week. CMC also tied Jerry Rice's franchise record for the most consecutive games with a touchdown with 12. And he's also going to look to break that record next week. So 2 records in San Francisco 49er history up for grabs next week for Christian McCaffrey. He just needs 100 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown, and he's got them both. The Seattle Seahawks, they beat Carolina. A closer game than maybe people would thought. Carolina hung around, especially with Andy Dalton, but Seattle was able to take care of business. And I think Kenneth Walker is going to be one of the best running backs in football, baseball. Doing these double podcasts, I say NFL, MLB sometimes. I'm throwing it off. But I think Kenneth Walker is going to be very good this year. The Los Angeles Rams play Monday night against the Bengals. I'll get back to you after that. And to finish it off, the Arizona Cardinals, who were thought to be the worst team in the NFL, just beat the thought to be best team in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys. And that's one of the weirdest games I've seen in a while. Very, very stunning outcome for, I'm sure, everybody. But Josh Dobbs looked pretty good. The Cowboys offense did not, and the Cowboys defense wasn't as great as it had been. So that'll wrap up our standings update for the week, and that'll wrap up the Sunday day, and we'll come back to you right after the Monday night games. I'll see you later. So yet another week of 2 games on the Monday night slate, and I kind of love it. 2 games at once, one starting at 7:15, one starting at 8:15, a lot of action going on at one time. It's pretty fun for a football fan. But, so the first game that started at 7:15 was between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Philadelphia Eagles were able to take control of most of this game. It was a rainy day in Tampa Bay, rainy day throughout of all South Florida, honestly. But it was raining harder through more, like the beginning of that game, and had periods of heavy rain, but it kind of died down towards the end. And the heavy rain seemed to factor in a little bit with the receivers. Mike Evans had a couple drops that you don't normally see Mike Evans drop, as once it stopped raining, he made one of the catches of the year so far. An unbelievable leaping one-handed catch in traffic over the middle where he landed on the defender's back and then stuck the landing too. Pretty crazy catch from him. But the Buccaneers offense did not look very good this week. Very underwhelming from the way it has before. Baker Mayfield didn't look as good as he has in the first 2 weeks of the season. Rashad White fumbled the ball. I mean, kind of a sloppy game all around. The Eagles didn't look their best either, but I mean, that offensive line is able to control the game, and their run game with DeAndre Swift behind that offensive line is just able to control the game for as long as they can. Like, they weren't able to throw as much as they could, even though A.J. Brown had a nice day for himself, over 100 yards through the air. But nothing really off the charts for the Philadelphia Eagles. But, again, 3-0. Looking as good as they did last year at the beginning of the season. But, yeah, we're kind of a weird game now. Between two, going into the game, both teams were 2-0. And kind of a disappointing first loss of the season for the Buccaneers. But coming against a tough team in the Philadelphia Eagles, so nothing to really hang your head on. And I feel like Baker Mayfield's going to be able to keep this team around in a not so highly touted, highly anticipated NFC South. But it has been better than most people thought in the early season. So, first game wrapped up, I believe it was a 25-11 final. Was it 11? Because they went for 2 there? Something like that. Something along those lines. And then the second game was between, where was that? Why am I blanking? I just watched it for 3 hours. What am I talking about? Oh, yeah, it was the Bengals. Jeez, I'm an idiot. The Bengals. And the Cincinnati Bengals, they played the Los Angeles Rams at home. Bengals looking to get themselves back on track after an 0-2 start. Very surprising. The offense has been stagnant ever since Joe Burrow signed that crazy contract. He has not been looking very good. The offense has not looked great. Jamar Chase hasn't been good. They have not, and I mean, it started off exactly the same way as it had. Joe Burrow getting pressured all over the place. His calf seemed to be acting up. He wasn't really mobile. He was just kind of sitting in the pocket, and he had to take some sacks that he might otherwise would have tried to escape if he was 100% healthy. So that calf may be playing a factor. But I mean, Jamar Chase wasn't really able to get opened up or involved in the first half. T. Higgins went down with an injury, I believe, in the first half. And the running game didn't really open up at all either. So, I mean, it was more the same in the first half. I believe it was 6-6 going into halftime. 2 field goals for each team going into halftime. So, not a very offensive-friendly ball game. The Puka Nacua was silenced a little bit. He had a couple catches, a couple big plays from him. He made a nice one-handed catch across the middle, a nice big play down the right sideline. But overall, the Cincinnati secondary was able to hold him in check. The young receiver playing his third career game, who had been so good for the first 2. But in the second half, the Bengals and Joe Burrow were able to get things going a little bit more as he really, really just fed Jamar Chase. And Jamar Chase ended up with a career high. I believe it was 15 receptions. Maybe it was 14 or 15 receptions for Jamar Chase. 141 receiving yards. So he ended up having a very, very good day for himself. Burrow was able to figure out in the second half. Joe Mixon ended up running for a touchdown in the second half. They kind of pulled away as well. But a late touchdown from the Rams kind of made it close. You saw an onside kick there, but unsuccessful for LA, recovered by Cincinnati. So that put a wrap on the final Monday night game. But a pretty entertaining night overall. And finally, a Monday night. I didn't want to say this before, but finally a Monday night without a severe injury to a star, we hope. Because T. Higgins did come out of the game. We hope that didn't look too bad. But Monday night is over. Officially, week 3 of the NFL season in the books. Another week of the Bobby Valentine Sports Show NFL edition. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you again next week. Make sure you follow all of the accounts, the Bobby Valentine Sports Show, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or X, whatever you want to call it. Whatever, same thing, Twitter, X. Follow the BVSA accounts, the Bob BV Academy, everywhere on those same accounts. And hit up the bvacademy.com for all your Bobby Valentine Sports Academy needs. And until next time, I'm Frank Rampin. Peace out.